These are the plaintiffs, Mark Nathwani and Julie Koch. Mark says his wife was parking in a spot in a parking lot owned by the defendant, and a large rusty screw sticking out from the parking space stopper damaged her car. The defendant refuses to take responsibility, so they're suing for the $1,737.21 they say they're owed. This is the defendant, John Spinks. He says the plaintiff, Julie, hit the parking space stopper first and dislodged a piece of rebar, and it was sticking out. He fixed it after she crashed into it and owes nothing. He's accused of a responsibility refusal.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she parked in a parking spot that the defendant owns, and there was a spike there that damaged her bumper. But the defendant says that she hit the parking stopper with such force she dented her bumper herself. It's the case of bumper thumper.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Nathwani and Ms. Cook, you are suing M&S Real Estate Investment, represented here by Mr. Spinks. Are you the owner?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Okay. Because according to you, your car was damaged by some negligent maintenance there. What happened?
So I had an appointment at the defendant's, I guess he owns the space. And when I pulled
it's a shopping center?
Well, I get my facials, eyelashes, hair done at the space.
Okay. So you went over there to get some service done, and what happens?
I pulled into my parking space, and when I was backing out, I heard a terrible noise, and I looked, and there was a really...
When you were backing out, hold on, wait a minute. When you were backing out after your service?
Yes.
When you were leaving, you mean? Okay, go on.
Yes. I heard a terrible noise, and I got out of my car and looked, and there was a screw about 6 inches protruding out that tore off part of my front bumper.
So what'd you do?
Well, I took pictures.
When there's an accident, usually people call the police. Did you call the police?
No.
So your first instinct was to take pictures, not to call the police, not to call the management, but to take pictures. Is that correct, Ms. Cook?
Yes.
And Mr. Nathwani, you weren't in the car with her, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So these screws are definitely protruding, and here's your fender.
Mm-hmm.
You don't call the police. You reach out to the owner, and what is it you say to the owner?
Well, when I reached out to him, he said he won't do anything about it, that he's not responsible because Julie drove too fast into it. And so I produced evidence to show that driving too fast doesn't make the screw pop up. It would either make the car go over the ramp or it would crack the wheel stop. But it wouldn't cause the screw to come up.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Spinks. Why does this look like that?
Well, Your Honor, that particular parking stop they're talking about, I have to literally step over to go to my mailbox every day. So that rebar that was coming out of it was not coming out before she pulled in. And if you look at her bumper, the bumper is pulled out. It's not pushed in. So when she pulled in that parking spot too fast or too far.
Says who? Stop. The bumper is pushed in this picture.
The bumper, if you look, is pulled out from where she pulled off.
The rebar is super high. The concrete is not smashed. How on earth would her car cause the rebars to go up?
Well, I tell you, I did a simple Google search to find out. Why is her car so low? And if I can, let me read the first quote that I found. This is from a Chrysler 300 forum of Chrysler owners of cars just like hers. After owning my 300 for 5 months, I found the problem. The ground clearance really sucks. This car hits everything. A body shop manager says Chrysler 300s do not clear most parking blocks.
But let me ask you a question. It isn't the parking stop that caused a damage to her car. It's these ridiculously sticking out rebars, which are dangerous to anybody. Why are they sticking out like that? They're not supposed to be sticking out like that.
Your Honor, when she pulled up on that parking stop, her car was 4.8 inches. Normal parking stop is 5 inches. So when she tried to back out, that parking stop is underneath her car, and the force of her car pulled that rebar up when she was trying to back out of it.
I don't understand, Ms. Cook, why if you're backing out of a parking space, that is when you hit the thing.
You know what, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm pulling in, I have my music playing, so maybe I didn't hear anything. All I know is when I went to back out, I heard this terrible noise, and that's when I looked at my car.
But you would have heard the noise when you were pulling in. That's when you would have heard the noise.
Not necessarily. If my radio is loud enough.
Okay, but you agree with me that you would have hit the thing while you were pulling in, right?
Yeah,
if you hit the thing while you were pulling in, I don't know how loud you listen to your music, but how could you not hear the unmistakable sound of metal crushing by that screw? That's what I don't get. Now, at the beginning, you were talking to them and, telling them get an estimate, blah, blah, blah. But then you did a little research and you got a little concerned. Tell me about your research.
That's correct. I started doing a little research, and I find out that they have filed 7 other lawsuits in the last 2 years, including my own. This gets good, Your Honor. They sued Chase Bank for the curbs being too high in the drive-through. They sued their friend that they took out on the boat for burning a cigarette hole in the seat. This is a good one. They sued their marriage counselor for giving bad advice. They even have a pending lawsuit against Elon Musk for a bad Tesla or something.
Against Elon Musk himself?
Absolutely.
What's that about?
Ma'am, I have a principle in my life that we find people like Mr. Spinks every day, and I'm a Leo by nature, and I just do not like being walked over. I'm not embarrassed about my cases. Elon Musk damaged my garage. He wouldn't fix it.
Elon Musk didn't damage your garage. Tesla might have. Is your lawsuit against Tesla or against Elon Musk?
Okay, I apologize.
No, but you sued Elon Musk. I'm looking at it. You actually sued Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's a CEO, and they called back, they apologized, and they settled it.
Okay. Did this concrete block separate off the ground?
No, the parking spot was loose. I just pounded back in the rebar that's coming out.
How did you pound them back in?
I have a sledgehammer, so I use a sledgehammer and a screwdriver to get them in past where they normally come up. No of the other parking spots have a problem. I have 5 other parking stops in the same parking lot.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah.
If my tires hit that block, I'm not going to lie. It's probably happened before where you pull up, you might pull a little close. Maybe your tires shouldn't hit it. I definitely did not hit it too hard or too fast because, first of all, the parking lot is very small. You can't even go fast in there. The screw sticking out, it probably caught it, is what I'm thinking. And when I backed out, it tore it there.
You're sounding less and less sure that you didn't knock this thing over. You're sounding less and less sure.
I know I wouldn't.
You didn't knock this thing over.
If I was going to knock it, I would have driven over it, which isn't going to happen. This parking lot, it's not that big. It's probably like 40 by 30 feet. I don't know. You're not going that fast when you drive in there. It's not like being at a supermarket, a mall.
Well, you don't have to be going 50 miles an hour to do damage to your car. You could be going a lot slower and still do damage to your car. But if the screw is there to begin with, then it would be damaging your car. You would feel it. You would feel it. It wouldn't be just, I went too close to the curb.
It did, ma'am. It did hit it. She had loud music on. The damage was done. She didn't see it. It's impossible for touching the wheel stop for a 6-inch screw to pop up like that. I've shown evidence of what happens if a concrete.
Show me the evidence. What evidence did you want me to look at? You have a lot of evidence in here. Tell me what it is you wanted me to look at that shows that that's impossible.
Exhibit 5.
Exhibit 5. What are you showing me? Somebody else's damage? Wait. What did you do? You drove around to find a damaged parking stop? Yes, that's what you did. And your point is to show me that the rebar doesn't move. It doesn't like...
Yes, ma'am. Those things are concrete. They go right into the ground. He needed a sledgehammer to put it back in again. There is no hope in hell that by 2 miles an hour touching the wheel stop is going to make that thing mysteriously pop up.
Your Honor, this is ridiculous.
Mr. Spinks, did you ever have anybody take a look at that? Any professional? Did you have it? You just sledgehammered it down. You didn't need anybody to take a look at it.
We sledgehammered them back down. They were perfectly fine. Your Honor, I can't be held responsible for their careless driving. And another reason. The reason the courts are so tied up with these careless lawsuits. Ridiculous. If that was sticking up that far, she had a duty to see it and not pull over top of it before she pulled in.
And all these scratches that are old, these are from you hitting barriers elsewhere.
I don't want to say that. It could be. I mean, I park at them all the time. I never had an issue with it tearing.
I have a low car too. I hit barriers all the time. I'm not judging, Yeah. I mean, now, Mr. Spinks, your theory is that she came. How fast could she possibly go in a little parking lot that has 5 parking spaces?
That particular parking space, if you're heading southbound on the road, there's nothing to stop. The speed limit on the road's 45, so you can pull in there at whatever speed. That's a straight shot.
What speed is someone going to pull in and park that they're going to hit it with such a degree of force that it's going to end up pulling rebars out? How fast must she go for that to happen? Because the rebars should be more secure than that. If they're just sitting there loose from water or whatever else, and she hits it a little, and then she goes upstairs, and then when she comes out, it was loose, and that's what caused them to come up. Why would that not be a maintenance issue on your part?
Your Honor, her car is not high enough to have your tires hit the block, so something has to give. Something has to give. And my only thing I can say is when she pulled in, she pulled the rebar out a little bit. That's why she didn't feel it. But then when she backed up, her car being low caught the rebar and made the damage to her bumper.
I disagree with that.
If you want to tell me that, first of all, these things are meant to stop a tire, okay? But under what theory should this be loose enough where a tire hitting it would cause the rebars to go up 4 inches? It shouldn't be that loose to begin with. It had to be pretty loose. If just moving the concrete ends up pulling the rebars up, and that's without smashing the concrete, it had to be pretty loose. And I don't think that that's okay, because being that you're supposed to predict that tires are going to hit that a little. I'm finding in favor of the plaintiffs no attorney's fees. I'm finding in your favor in the amount of the estimate of the repair, $1,287.21. That's my verdict. This was a highly defensible case. That's why you don't get attorney's fees. You're not just automatically entitled to attorney's fees in every case. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Spinks, what's your reaction?
Well, this guy has 7 lawsuits, so nothing is his fault. They need to take responsibility for their own actions and stop suing everybody.
All right. Well, listen, that's your opinion. Okay, I'm sorry about it, but the judge has found for the plaintiffs. All right, Ms. Cook, Mr. Nathani, tell me how you're feeling right now.
Absolutely very overjoyed, very, very grateful. I think the judge did a great job. It's sad that Mr. Spinks thinks the judge is wrong, as well as the plaintiffs in this case. But
very interesting case. I'm sure the judges have a lot to say about this. Here they are.
This is the sort of case some judges would look with a little more skepticism at litigants who come in and who have sued people in 5
That's half the reason it took me this long to reach my verdict.
In fact, in Florida, they even have a vexatious litigant rule. A judge can designate you a vexatious litigant and make you post a bond before you can file your lawsuit or proceed with it.
Or get judicial permission.
Right, get permission of court to file it, right. So they take it pretty seriously.
So Deirdre wants to know this. Hey, Harvey. If you did not respond to an appearance to court due to health issues, can you then fight against the ruling at a later date? Well, if you don't show up, typically what's going to happen is that the judge is going to enter a default judgment. Now, default judgments can be set aside if you have a good reason. And that means you go back into the courtroom and you say, look, I was deathly ill, I couldn't do anything, and please give me another chance. And oftentimes, usually judges will do that. The better thing to do, if you're sick and can't make it, let the court know in advance. It is easier to do that than unscramble the egg.